I'm hungry. I forgot to eat my snack. Oh my God.
Let's make another motion.
Same to you. Yes. Presentation.
But you know, we should incorporate it in some point.
Now they can, still moving.
So you got it. Hell, the gang's all here. Let's have for one.
And I did speak to him. I think I spoke to him 2 days ago and reminded him that it was at 9 a.m. So I'm hoping that he'll be here.
No, I'm sorry, he will not be here.
Mr. Dobson?
No, he will not.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
okay. Well, it is now 9:02 a.m. Let's go ahead and bring this meeting to order. Which one of y'all want to give us the Okay. Let's have a moment of silence followed by a prayer by Commissioner Dickerson. Prior to that, if we will, please go ahead and take an opportunity to silence your devices during our meeting, just in case of the interruptions, please. And we'll begin with the moment of silence and then a prayer by Commissioner Dickerson.
Our Father God, we thank you for this time and this season. And Lord, we pray that you bless us today. Bless this meeting. Help us to operate in unity for the betterment of our community, this great city of Brunswick, Georgia. Father God, thank you for all the leadership. I pray that you bless them as well as you bless this board. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Take a moment to look at our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
I motion that
I need a second.
Second. I second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kilgore, seconded by Commissioner Dickerson to accept the agenda. Any discussion?
Oh, are you sick?
No, I just have a cough.
Okay. Sorry, we get
I
paranoid.
got my mask on.
We get paranoid when people cough, I'm sorry.
So
Wearing a mask?
we have discussion on the agenda. I know there's a
Yes, I just got the name. I'd like to amend the, this agenda and add, Tequila Jackson from Goodwill. Work coordination?
Tikla.
T-
Tikla Jackson
Jackson,
with Goodwill, Career Services Specialist.
that right there.
As a delegation?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, and the other one is that, our attorney Ben Hartman is not here, so we're gonna defer the case update to next month's meeting.
We're just asking to defer the case update as well. Any other discussion with the agenda? We've made amendments to add a delegation from Goodwill.
Yeah. Tequila Jackson.
I'm gonna second the
Tikla.
motions to add to the agenda.
Tikla.
Thank you. Second the motion, and we defer the case update till January. So we've got the amendments, we have the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. And we will begin with our delegations. Actually, we'll begin with our, K-PAC officer,
She's not here yet. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you come in, sorry.
Ms. Wright, will you please deliver your report for your November monthly report?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I will be reading the monthly report for the month of November. Starting with Abbott Andrews, they had 23 calls, only one report, which was domestic. Brooklyn Annex had a total of 2 calls, no reports. Brooklyn Homes North, 36 calls, 5 reports, which was problem with person, terroristic threats, abandoned vehicle, assault, and fraud. Brooklyn Homes South was 8 calls, and 2 of them was reports, which was child abuse. Mercer Alabama had 6 calls, 2 reports, one was a wanted person, and the other was theft of vehicle. McIntyre Court, 40 calls, 7 reports, domestic, 2 problem with person calls, theft, child abuse, accident with injuries, and abandoned vehicle. Glenvilla had a total of 41 calls, 2 reports were fights. Hopkins Home Annex with a total of 3 calls, 1 report was domestic. And Hopkins Homes, I'm sorry, that was Hopkins Home Annex. Hopkins Homes had a total of 18 calls, 6 reports, 2 was juvenile problems, domestic, theft, child custody, and a problem with person.
Query, would it be, possible, for you to put, a column on the right-hand side and just indicate, if there's, at Abbott Andrews, 1 report, whether that's a resident or a non-resident?
I can tell you right now, all over the residents,
That clears that up.
but I can't do that for you.
No, that's okay. I was hoping that wasn't the case, but okay.
Yes, all over the
Thank you very much.
residents. But if they're not residents, I will put that next to it,
Okay.
cause some do be visiting and starting trouble.
Okay.
I will, yeah. Any more questions?
Excellent, like the
Yeah.
format.
Thank you. So
The-
y'all like, okay.
In the Brooklyn Homes, it was terrorist threats. What does that consist of?
That was basically the resident getting text from her child's father, "I'm gonna kill you," something like real serious. So I'm gonna kill you, or I'm gonna come vandalize, kick in the door, so stuff like that.
And
So in that case, it wouldn't be a non-resident, because the offending party was the absent father, I presume?
Well, we have to do where it take place, so she received the text message while she was home. And he stayed in Brunswick, but if she's home and she get those messages, that's what we gotta count that.
And she's
That's
probably the one that
location.
called you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she's the one that placed the call.
That's what I,
Yeah, yeah.
okay?
And what's the fraud in general, just kind of generalized for me, what was that, the contents of it?
Basically a scam. So she got her bank account got scammed. You know, it's Christmas, and everybody trying to fall for quick money, and we're getting a lot of them. So, and they go for the older.
They stole the
Residents.
Salvation Army
I heard that
at Walmart.
at Walmart
And ran.
and ran, yes.
Hopefully it was guilty, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Two.
Next, we have a delegation from Love Smart Incorporated, Valeria Williams.
Valerie.
Good morning.
Good morning. We'll just go with Mr. and Mrs. from now on.
Gotta be doctor for me. DR, doctor.
Thank you.
Pass it down.
I'll pass it down.
Thank you.
Joy.
One more. Oh, he's going over there.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to take my mask off just so you can hear me clearly. I don't want to scare anybody, but I am vaccinated. Thank y'all for seeing us today. My name is Brian Scott, and I have the pleasure of serving in our community on a couple different boards, a couple different programs. The program that I'm going to present to you today is one that's nearest and dearest to my heart, and that is Love Smart. Today I'm not going to be before you long. I'm just going to tell you a couple things, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. We are Love Smart, a local nonprofit organization looking to make a global impact. We were founded by our CEO, Valerie Williams, in 2015, after herself was tragically shot in her home. It was because of this 20-minute altercation, a life-changing situation, that she found the need to start Love Smart. Clearly, from the officer's report, you can hear that there's a need for dating awareness, relationship awareness, and people to learn how to love in a healthy way, right? Sometimes the way that we were taught to raise is how we reflect or mirror what our parents did, but that's not always right, okay? So what we try to do, we try to educate the teens and young adults on healthy ways to love. Also make them aware of the unhealthy ways to love. A lot of times we, especially our teens, they will look to things, for instance, cell phones. We had a cell phone incident where a young lady had 3,000 text messages in 1 month. In her mind, she thought that was love, but that wasn't love, that was control. He was texting her saying, hey, where are you? She's like, well, I'm with my parents. I don't believe you, FaceTime me, right? That's a sign of abuse, right? What we do, Love Smart brings awareness and education to local youth from ages 11 to 24 on how to identify healthy and unhealthy relationships. We are committed to ensuring that you have the knowledge and skills necessary to build safe, positive, and loving relationships. Subsequently, we know that educating youth in the demographic early, we can drastically reduce the countless lives that are lost. People are dying daily because of domestic abuse. You just heard the officer say, I don't know how many calls, that was ridiculous. In every complex that we have, there's domestic disputes going on all the time, every day. Participants will learn how to, will learn about intimate partner violence and how we can pass it down. I think it's the most vital part. We can teach them how not to pass that generational curse down to somebody else, right? Just because you're in a housing facility doesn't mean that your child has to be. The lifestyle that comes along with being in a project doesn't mean that your child has to have, carry that tradition on, if you will, and keep going, right? So we want to break that curse. And the only way you can break that curse is by educating people, right? How we do it. Low Smart is able to teach the skills teens need to advocate for healthy relationships for themselves and others. We provide information on community resources available when needed. We understand that while this is a global epidemic, locally the need for education is greater than we can provide. And because of this, we partner with different people in our community. Community in Schools, Safe Harbor, the Elizabeth Correll Teen Center, and of course the Glenn County Board of Education are just a few of our local partners that understand the seriousness of what we all are facing, right? And the overwhelming need for our program. Just off the top of my head, I cannot convey enough the need for education when it comes down to loving correctly, right? I think it was all God that this officer stood here before I came up and said, just kind of clarified that we need education in our community. Mm-hmm. Georgia is #1 in the nation for teen dating violence. We're #1 in Georgia, right? So that's my spiel. I will introduce to some of you, Ms. Williams.
I just wanted to give some of the statistics. Every year we have 1.5 million young people that are in abusive relationships, 1.5 million. And 80% of the parents have no clue that they are in these abusive relationships. And I mean, they are very stressed out. I talk to them every day. I'm the career specialist out at the Golden Isles College and Career Academy. And just talking to them, and they don't know how to have a healthy relationship. Social media has a big impact on that. A lot of them that have never heard of abuse. They don't even know that's what you call it. And it's just, now the age group, when I first began to start speaking and going to different colleges, I started at the college level. And I realized that they're already set in their mind, they already think this is how relationships go. So then I started high school. They already set in their mind that this, relationships unhealthy or normal. Then I went to the middle schools. And year before last, I was actually at Burroughs Millette School in 5th grade. Mm-hmm. So the numbers are getting lower and lower, and now the universal age is 11, where they're first experiencing. But one thing I have realized is that when we educate them and we have these workshops, they want to know. Okay. Like, they really want to know. Like, that, I did not know that was unhealthy. Are you going to do this again? They want to get out of those relationships. They want that stress off of them, being controlled all day, every day, somebody keeping your time. And now the cell phone is their #1 tool of abuse. And so we have them going through this at a very young age. So what we started to do, we have our own Love Smart journals. And because children are so full of emotions, they don't want to talk about it. And now we're getting a lot of suicide threats. I don't want to be here. I don't want to live. So we're having workshops with these journals, teaching them how to express themselves and just write it out. And then, we want to even partner with their parents and start teaching the parents what to look for, how to have those conversations. And so with that, that's why we need funding to be able to put these on. When I was charging $5, $10, they wouldn't come. And so just trying to pay for it out of our pocket, they would come for free, or we would get sponsors, do a fundraiser, things like that. They would come, but they would say, I have 5 daughters, or I have, 6 daughters. I can't afford $5 a piece. And I did not want them not coming and missing the information and getting the education and getting the knowledge because they didn't have the money. So being able to provide that workshop and those events, community outreach, we do a lot of work with the local churches, like I said, Safe Harbor, communities and schools, just wherever we can go. We even have partnership over in Nassau, Bahamas. We were going over there twice a year before COVID. And so since COVID, I haven't been able to go, but we would go into the school system there. So Love Smart is in Nassau, Bahamas also. So this is just a little bit our newsletter. We try to put out a newsletter just to, touch on different topics. And also we have an Instagram page, and the students I have them take their phone out and they join. So I give them a little quote every day, or some type of sign, or something to look for, or this is a behavior, this is manipulation, what it means. And so putting that information out there on social media has been a big help to it. Then we want to include them, because I feel like helping youth, we have to include them to help us to help them.
Right.
And so that's what we want to do too, is also be able to recruit them, and even eventually have a center where we can hire them, and since I am a career specialist, teach them, resumes and all those things, because all that encompasses relationships. And you want them to have healthy relationships at work, at school, at church, with their friends, with their parents, all around. And so teaching them these skills will help them become that, I believe, healthy teens, youth become healthy adults, and that's how we have a healthy community.
Right. What we found is a lot of the children, even our own children, we think that they're going to school and everything's okay, but they're going through things. And so while they won't talk to us, like my daughter's not gonna come talk to me about some boy, she's just not gonna do it. I hate that, but she's just not gonna do it, because she know I'll be up there. So,
Right.
So, but what we found is they will journal though. They will write down their feelings. They will take the time and write down, and that's a part of self-care, mentally, to be able to sit down and just decompress during the day.
Right.
And you'll be surprised what the kids have to say.
And we publish it, and I publish these myself. I design them and publish them.
Everything's there. So the app, we have an app too, so.
That we're trying to finish. And we also have them for boys. We definitely have some for the boys, and then we want mentors to even come in and help them with their emotions, and have men come and talk to them. It's okay to cry, it's okay to feel this way, but this is how you release that. And I think that's a lot of the problem when I don't have that control. Like she was talking about the phone call, I'm gonna come do this, I'm gonna come do that. And so helping them, teaching them that, just helps everybody to understand that it's a better way to communicate. And that is our motto. There's a healthy way to love, and it's Love Smart. That's why I love Smart. It's using your head and not about your feelings. So that's why we get the name.
How do we work with you? In other words, we would publicize this information in our newsletters and make our residents aware that you exist.
Right.
And I presume at a point in time that you may have an interest in coming and presenting what your annual needs are, and what your existing funding base is like, and things on that order. So is that a true statement?
That is a statement. Equally important as it pertains to the housing authority. It's one thing to reach for the kids, but the parents need education too. Right, we can reach for the kids, and the kids will come out. We can attract the kids, no problem. But how do we break that generational curse, that cycle that we're having in housing or in our community, period? We have to educate the parents. And so that would be part of what we do.
So then, you need contact information, and you need to let the executive director know when you want to come back and make an ask, a request of financial support.
They did.
We
already
did. We
there.
sent in
Yeah,
everything.
it's
Yes.
in your, it should be in your book.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Separate thing.
And what we were thinking, we want to be able, first we were saying maybe weekly, but then we thought about it, maybe once a month, start once a month, and be consistent with that. And then maybe we could have like incentives to have the parents, come maybe at the end, bring them together, and the kids tell them what they learned, and then also have a workshop for parents. So that's how we did our budget, just like once a month, and really, maybe 2.5, 3 hours, and just start from the basics, from the beginning. What is abuse? What is healthy relationship? Just the basics, and then move up. And then we always have a pre-test and a post-test. So when they come in, what they don't know, and then in the end we find out what have they learned. And a lot of times they have learned a lot. And so sometimes we do it anonymously too, because sometimes they won't put their name on the paper and say, yes, I've been abused, yes, I've seen this in my home, but at least we have the information. And then what we do is follow up with them and give them a resource, a folder like this, and it will have resources, national domestic violence numbers, places they can go here, the Amity House, just where they can go and get help and receive services. And then we're available all the time. So yes, that's what we want is, funding to be able to do a year, once a month, and then eventually we can.
Yeah, so if it has
I had seen this, but, what I'm talking about is a detail.
Okay.
With all your sources of
Sources.
funding. If you're getting money from, we fund a lot of places,
Mhm.
and communities and schools being one.
Mhm.
If you're getting money from them, then what I would appreciate if you could provide is a list of all your funding sources and how much you're receiving currently and how much you need to supplement that, combined with the detail of your annual expenses, so that we've got a very clear picture of how if we're gonna fund something, we wanna make sure it's successful.
Right.
And we don't wanna, not give you enough money, but we also don't wanna give you twice as much as you need. And so, we need more information than just.
But when we say partnering with community and schools, that means community and schools call on us to come and present. We haven't got funding from community and schools. They're just calling us, partnering us with, like, somehow they partner with us to come and present. Now, they may buy our Love Smart T-shirts for their, youth in the program, but as far as giving us funding, we haven't received funding.
Well, you need to lean on Lynn.
I mean,
Yeah.
while we do need the funding, we can't wait for funding when they call and say, hey, my child's just been beaten.
Oh, no, I'm talking about, something that is, a bulk distribution of contributions.
Yeah, Lynn does buy, books from me, or journals or things like that when I go into the school. She will buy books, but as far as like a donation funding, we have not received that. So that's what I meant by, we meant by partnering, that we actually, the Board of Education, I go in and do the workshops.
Okay.
Yes, so that's what we're looking for, is funding to.
I think that as many programs that have come through here, this is one of the most important ones that we need. Because as you know, a lot of young folks, they do have relationships, but when they break up, where do they go?
Right.
Public housing, because
Right.
everything else is too high.
Right.
And so the bundle here, parents and young folks.
Right.
So I think this is one of the needed programs that we need in public housing in order to help our residents grow and function.
Yeah, and we don't have, an organization in Brunswick. We have the Amity House, but that's mostly domestic violence for adults. And when we get calls and we go and meet these teens and we talk to them, there's no way I can say, well, come to the center or come meet me here, Tuesday, so I can do a follow-up. And we even have therapists that want to come and join in with us and say, hey, I'll be that counseling part, but I have nowhere for them to go. I have nowhere to meet them. I have nowhere to follow up with them, and so they end up going back into that relationship. And now, we're getting another call saying, I got beat last night, or I got left outside the apartment, or whatever it is. So we need that in Brunswick as a whole, somewhere for them to go.
Yeah, because you told me when you came on my show that sometimes you meet them in your car. So
Yeah, I meet them in my car.
Wherever they are.
Right.
To have them more than
Yeah, I meet
one
them in my
person at a
car.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the answer to your question is, one of our short-term, long-term, short-term goals is to be able to get into the judicial system. And so when there are 40 counts of domestic violence, part of the mandate is that you not only go through anger management, but you go through some kind of parenting class, you go through some kind of Love Smart class, to educate you on healthy and unhealthy behaviors. So yeah, we're moving.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The program, this will collect my words. Will your program, when we fund it, if we fund it, let me state that, if we fund it, will it be specifically for our residents and our children here at the Housing Authority? That we will be covering?
That is a primary focus. That is a primary focus. The kids that are in our county, our city, but yes,
Yeah.
specifically for the housing, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we want to target not only the kids in the housing, but the parents in the housing, right? To kind of assist with, that transformation or that expedition of the, you know, them leaving housing and moving on to be successful
Yeah.
adult citizens.
Because our main goal is to stop to prevent it at an earlier age, to get to them at an earlier age.
And stop the cycle.
And just to stop the cycle, because like I said, I was in a 5th grade classroom talking about, you know, abuse or anger, because I kind of start that way about anger and just being mad, and a lot of times they'll tell you, I see that at home, you know, my mom and boyfriend, my mom and boy, I didn't know it was wrong, I didn't know it was unhealthy. And a lot of the teens, well, even not even teens, the children that I see at school, they are from public housing, you know, so yes, majority of them are.
Okay, that's all. That answered my second question too, so.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank
ladies and
you,
gentlemen,
thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much.
Back when I came along, it was girls abusing the guys.
It is now too.
When you were coming along, they probably had a reason to.
I was
Well, there's no reason. I take that
seriously,
back.
You're seriously. I think Bill would say it was probably your fault.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a delegation from Windsward Preserve.
Windsward of
Research.
Georgia. Windsward of Georgia.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Good evening, everyone. Let me pass this out first. I sent in already by email. Oh, you already have it, great. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, you have it down. My card as well.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dolores Polite. I have a 501c3 nonprofit organization in Glenn County. And what Windsor of Georgia do and have done in Glenn County is preserve, enhance, and research. This proposal I have already sent to you electronically will outline college prep. And the reason why, I'm gonna look at myself first. I'm a non-traditional student at CCGA currently. And what blew my mind, I'm gonna say, quote, blew my mind, we have 12th graders coming in from any community, not just Glenn County, any community that don't know algebraic equations and know how to write a paper. Now you sent your child 12 years of school and they don't know how to write a paper of the algebraic equations in the 21st century. So my assessment was, I started out doing homework support with the kids at H Street. That's what I currently do off and on. And the pandemic changed that assessment. And we started back up in January based on Mr. Campbell. But what I also found out is having fluid learning and having their foundation set. So when they get to 12th grade, they can function taking tests, whether it's military tests, college entry tests, any type of employment test, any type of test. They have a fear of test taking. So the earlier we get the kids to take tests, meaning from pre-K to 5th grade, in their formative years, test taking won't be such a fear. So college prep will be very easy. You'd be surprised, they don't wait till ninth grade. Some communities in the state of Georgia and around the country don't wait till 12th, 8th, 9th, or 10th grade to prepare for college. Bless you. Prepare for college. I have found communities that starts their kids in pre-K. And it's not, when they call it college prep, but they teaching them how to test. I'm a perfect example. I have a fear test. I can know the answer and still write it wrong. But when you get yourself acquainted with the language of test taking, whether it's algebraic or whether it's English, because that's our society. You gotta learn how to read, you gotta learn how to write, and you gotta learn math. If you wanna be an engineer of any capacity, you have to learn math, and you have to go beyond multiplications. So, Windsor, Georgia, let me back up a little bit. I gave you a synopsis of the college prep component. I started with H Street as a volunteer, helping the kids in our community, because I knew, being a single mother, I knew what it was like not being home and having the structure to make sure they get their homework. I see the stress on the mother's face because I see myself. So I felt that it was important when I moved back from Los Angeles that if anything that I do from the community I came from, I'm 8th generation. The community I came from, that I give something back to the children. And the children foundation skills is my main focus outside of advancing them to college level. And the formative years is the years in pre-K to 5. A lot of them would say pre-K to 3. That's in a normal society when you got the fluidness of your mother and your father and your community to help you be the academic child that you should be. But not in this 48th percentile that I presented to you that we have in Glenn County, higher than the national average, 18% in poverty-stricken communities. So you have a lot of, the word that is not friendly, but a lot of dysfunction. Even what Ms. Williams was imposing. And not only to support Ms. Williams' support, at the college level, you find a lot of abuse. And I was surprised that I was gonna be here with her, and she posted that, but to even support her position, not abuse starting as young as what she stated, and it continues on if we don't break that cycle. So from her program to academically challenged students, Windsor is here to promote academic excellence. Yes, we have different components. We have a historical component, we have an enhancement component. This is where the homework support and the college prep is under the enhancement component. So this is what we do. I'm a community advocate. I've worked in the community since I moved back home in a historical position. I'm a board member of the Historical Preservation Board of the City of Brunswick. I volunteer at H Street until the pandemic, and they kind of had to push me back a little bit and use their own staff, but I was there since 2019, regularly after class from 2:30 to 6 or 2:30 whenever I was able to take care of all the students that I had control of, helping them with their homework. Now we elevate our program to college prep. And college prep, people may say, well, you know, he's a pre-K, but it's the testing component part that we would like to make sure children are comfortable with that piece of paper. They put it in that piece of paper, because you'd be surprised in the homework support when I used to assist the kids with their homework, well, the teacher didn't explain it to me. I said, do you want Ms. Polite as a community advocate to go out there and speak to the principal and the student? But the students are fearful, so we need that social arm to make sure that our children have a healthy life. It's healthy to go talk to the principal, it's healthy to go talk to the social worker, it's healthy to go talk to the community advocate. And then we have a healthy child going up to college, and when they go to college, they'll come back to Brunswick. They won't go to Jacksonville, they won't go to Savannah, they won't go to Atlanta. They have a healthy environment, and then more importantly, Brunswick, we could build industry for that. But to get their foundation skills, this is my outcry, to get their foundation skills where they can function anywhere. But we do want them to come back to Brunswick. And you will deal with the issue of poverty. And that's where the public housing deal with a lot of poverty, like you stated, because they can't afford regular homes, regular, market rent. They have to come to, as a community, we need to be that social partner, where you make sure they have a sustainable life. And Housing Authority does that, because I was a benefactor of public housing in a different way. It was a different section, but that's where I was able to raise my children, be that mom that worked night and day to make sure they get fed and clothed. So I understand the single parent, not just the mother or the father, but I understand the single mother's outcry. And education is lacking. They are worrying about the rent, they are worrying about the transportation, they're worrying about the food, and it's paramount to me to encourage parents to buy into their children's education, because it's our future. If we don't invest in our kids, you know, what can we see? We cannot even see 5, 10, 15 years in the future, because the parents do not have the ability to buy into their children's education. I'm fortunate. I had a mother and a father. I didn't care if we worked 5 jobs. Education was paramount. I had people that had their own businesses in my family. So education was like, okay, if you want to be somebody, you have to work hard. And that's what I did. So any questions? I kind of think I spilled out some of the attributes of Windsor of Georgia. Yes.
How would you, what is your idea of getting people, resident children from public housing into your program? Are you looking to do it here or somewhere, or on H Street?
Both. I mean, well, Windsor is a community advocate.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, I think the public, you know, I don't want to isolate the community with public housing. I want to involve the community, but public housing is a rare animal because there's so much deficiency. And I know this is why we're here and this is what we're talking about. And once we arm these kids, because the majority of people, students that come to H Street is from public housing.
Right.
And so you have to arm, like I want to support Ms. Williams, you have to come here. Because most families, even though some families are doing well with single mothers, but not at the level that the public housing are dealing with. Because they are really, it's a cruel word, but they're kind of like at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the bottom where they need help. That's the reason why they come to public housing, for assistance, they have a hand up. And maybe grow. But the most important thing is to introduce to the family that they need to buy into their children's education. That is my main outcry.
So, you do this from 2:30 to 6?
Mm-hmm.
So, what school is out at 2:30?
H Street Kids Elementary School. Well, I started out with homework support.
Mm-hmm.
Your homework support is the earlier kids. You know, I told you I expressed pre-K to 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, so pre-K to 5th is out
Okay.
at 2:30. But you know, and more important, I have to prep. I have to prep for them because I don't have the benefit of being in an organized class like 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. When all the kids come there at H Street, or I'm supporting them in their homework component, I have pre-K all the way up to 5th grade. So I have to organize that class very carefully because I have the groups all in one.
Mm-hmm.
And so being all in one is very challenging because you got a pre-K needs, they more needy than the 3rd and 4th graders. So you have to already organize a time for them because they are more needy. And then the 3rd and 4th graders sometimes really helps me with the pre-K 1st and 2nd. Because I encourage them to interact with each other and communicate with each other. So the higher grades can help me with the younger grades. But the most important thing is that giving them the fluidness and their foundation skills.
So what school goes to H Street? Because I know Coastal get out at 2:45. Their head starts.
No,
pre-K gets
well,
at 2:45.
majority of the kids that come there was from Burrs Millette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are the kids that come to H Street. I think another school too, but I'm not really sure, but I hear Burrs Millette a lot. Because I'm there helping them with their homework support, not so much what school they come from. Well, the school they come from until it comes down with a challenge from their teacher. And then I start asking, who is your teacher? and how can I help?
Mhm. So pre-K to fifth grade. Mhm. And how often do you do it, every day?
Well, before pandemic, it was Monday through Thursday. They don't have homework on Thursdays, I mean Fridays. And we have cultural outreach on, they read, they do something alternatively than the traditional homework. And so I do historical preservation, meaning I give them local history or national, in any kind of history, but I give them something. Even if we got to study dolphins, that's what we're gonna be studying that day on Friday. Because it's just something alternatively that besides the traditional stuff, you know, that they have to deal with. Because you wanna give them something that, and matter of fact, I let them, we play chess, we play checkers, we play tic-tac-toe. We play different things to kind of relax the brain and detox from all that school from Monday through Thursday. Because mainly that's when you get your homework. Fridays, they don't have homework.
And how many teachers are there and how many students do you have?
Well, that's the reason why Mr. Gamble was excited that I came to help them. No teachers. I brought a STEM, I partnered with the CCGA, and I brought a STEM program there, and for earlier teachers, because I found out that only the students that love math, we brought them in to have a STEM assessment, because they love math and science. And we opened their eyes up to a whole new category. But no, to answer your questions, it's Mr. Gamble, his assistant, and myself.
And how many children?
Well, it ranges, well, before the pandemic, we was up to 50, I think 50 plus. After the pandemic, Mr. Gamble told me that they had to, since I was a volunteer, this last semester, we had to, didn't need my services because they had to cut down because of pandemic and how many kids they was allowing at H Street to come in. So now he's asking me back to come back and support them in their homework support. Any other questions?
Ms. Polite, I would consider a great program like this to know or have an idea of the statistics of the students, what schools they're coming from. I think that would help you out a whole lot.
Oh, well, I can easily find that out. That just wasn't my, my strong point, and I can easily find that information and provide it for you. Because for the simple reason, Mr. Langston can provide that for me with no problem. My main focus was to make sure I give them the support they need before their mother and father pick them up. That was my main function there. And if you need that information, I'd be happy to provide it for you. I'm sure I have access to it. I mentioned one of the schools, right?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
That'd be
Now,
great.
if you need it, I'll be glad to provide it for you.
Now, you have pre-K to fifth grade. So I'm sure anybody from maybe third, fourth grade, but what do you do with the pre-K? Because they're not sitting there attentively trying to write no paper or anything.
Oh, no, you'll be surprised. They are teaching algebra in pre-K, but they're teaching it on that level. They're absolutely teaching pre-K, they're teaching algebra today. But, you know, I'm trying to think, I have partnered with, Mindset. I'm sorry, it slips me right now, but I can still provide it for you. But I have partnered with the agency, cause I went on the Board of Education training, this math, Eureka Math. Oh my God, Eureka Math, if anybody has children, when I went to training at the Board of Education for Eureka Math, the teachers came now, both University of Georgia, Savannah State, they got this, it's a New York standard, and they came in and said, oh, that's nothing, I can handle this. But how they are teaching math today is nothing like when any of us went to school. And you better be prepared. I'm talking about in pre-K, I see the children, I said, wait a minute, what we doing here? Even I have to ask myself, I'm a CCGA student, I'm learning math at a different level. So I said, well, how did the teacher show you? Wait a minute, let me see. So we have to go on YouTube and look at Eureka. That's the new math now. Any of you guys got little kids. Eureka Math is the math in Glenn County. And so to answer that question, they are teaching algebra in pre-K. You would not think so, but they are. But they're teaching it at that level. And Eureka Math is the math to screen for.
Any further questions for Ms. Polite?
Yes. Are you related to Annie?
Annie's related to me.
Oh.
Annie married into my family.
She's a longtime friend, and I have great respect for her, so if you relate to her, that's a vote in your favor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. She's a community advocate as well as myself.
Yes, she is.
Any other questions? I hope I filled everyone in who I am. And I think I gave you a little bit of my references from college and my degree to help you understand. My background is business, but the business of education is important.
And Ms. Strickland has all of your contact information?
Mr. Whom?
Ms. Strickland? Ms.
Yes.
Strickland?
Oh, yes, and I gave everyone, including you, I think I gave everyone a business card as well. But you should have it on your proposal. Yes, we will hope, that when you come, to be a partner with Windsward is a stakeholder in Glenn County, we are not going anywhere. And we would like to add on partners that we can make this community a better place.
Okay.
And I'm gonna provide that information for you. Who am I speaking with?
Commander Dickinson, Commissioner Dickinson.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll get that information for you. Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
And not just for me, just for a whole, you know.
Oh, absolutely. When I, just like I said, the proposal out, I'll send it to everyone. Thank you, sir.
Next delegation we have is the We Hope Pearl program.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stand over here or stand over there.
Everybody just sitting over here? Yeah, you got one. I got it.
So you're gonna take one around too? Okay.
I got it.
She got, yeah, I come around with her.
You got pearls for everybody here?
Ma'am?
I need some, you got some pearls?
Absolutely, absolutely, but they're earned, not given.
Okay. We letting you speak.
And that's all and a privilege. Get this together here for our kids. Absolutely. Yes. Grand Rising, everyone. Excuse my voice is a little raspy this morning. My name is Estella Dior. I am the founder and the CEO of We Hope Inc. We Hope Inc. is presenting our Pearls program here to you today. We're already currently functioning in Louisiana, Texas, and also Miami, Florida. Just to give you a background synopsis of myself, I am a product of this product. I am a survivor and a victorious person that overcame molestation, that overcame rape, and within the last 24 months was released from federal incarceration. So through that and my own life trials and triumphs is where this program was birthed and it was started. We Hope was organized and designed in 2012 when we was incorporated. Being a mother that is a mother of 6 kids, I have 4 adult kids and 2 minor children right now. It's how this program started and it was facilitated. There are 3 portions to this. Today we're presenting you to Pearls, that is the girls between the ages of 6 and 18. Myself know and feel that that is a very critical part of a child's life. And with this program, we prepare girls between the ages of 6 and 18 to meet challenges of adolescent, young adulthood through several coordinated progressive series of high quality activities and learning experiences. I like to say that Pearls and we deal from the inside out because you have to first start with your mindset. So we build a self-love, self-care, and confidence. We do that through workshops, seminars, and actually activities through the program. It is definitely taught through the journals and the devotionals that I have published, and also it's a new mindset planner. It is a 12-month no dated planner. There's different activities in here that helps the child build on who they are and knowing of them. I am a coordinator that has a team that we are very transparent, that we feel that when you see something that you can relate to and you can come to, education is key. But you have to first know who you are to know where you're building and where you want to go. So with this partnership, we're going to work on the experiences of the emotional, spiritual, and the physical well-being of each child. Within that, you get a key component that's just a byproduct of working with their parents. That will be the second part of the program. I have provided the budget and breakdown of that. With this program for the past 3 years, it has been funded through my son. He's very a great grace, I feel to say. He's a social media influencer and a product of this product as well. He was a graduate and a student through here in Glenn County. He lived right here in these same projects when his mother was incarcerated. I am a homeowner today. So through the programs that we offer and everything that we go through with the children in the system, we teach them from the basis of how you're going to gather, how you're going to build, and where you're going to grow to. And this component with PEARLS, it's an acronym for Phenomenal Education, Real, Aware, Leadership, and Strong. This is one of our t-shirts. I wear it proudly. I got to show it out in the back first before I continue. Because it was very profound when you asked me that, because that's what people always say. Through the pearls, do we get pearls? You definitely get a pearl. After each level and each letter that you graduate from. So when you learn your self-love and your confidence, that's a letter that you will receive your pearls. So through the program, I feel and I know through my own personal experiences and also the testimonials of the girls and the women that have come and graduated through the program. So with PEARLS, all girls need a healthy, solid start. And you may look at that and say, well, what is healthy? What is normal? Because each and every one of us have a story. Each and every one of us have grown through something, and we went through something in our home. But now, to come together to economically build and grow from that child, they have to be taught certain principles, certain morals, certain tools, and given certain strategies on how to be successful. So that is what the Young Pearls do through that. Myself, I have a partnership with Glenn County, and that's on my personal time. Because I was the PTA president and a PTA vice president through my kids' education career. So I go to give back through that. And I mean, if we're being realistic, today you have some parents that just don't show up. That they do not go and talk to the teachers. They do not go and speak to the counselors. They do not be advocates in the community. So it starts first with there. So my Keys to Success program, which is the second portion that I'll come back and propose that to you all. But with this byproduct of PEARLS, you get that within myself and my team. That we work with the parents to work through the school system so that we can stop the pipeline. Within that, we go into, right now I'm partnering with Mr. Cook and also, I know the judge name, Bart, where they're proposing to myself to go into the juvenile justice system. I've went 3 months, but due with COVID, you know, it's very small increments that you can go and present. But I love it. Reason being that the transition that I just had to come through. So when you experience something in life and you know that I can be a testimony to help this child or this person to overcome, to let them know that your past does not determine your future. But it starts with your mindset. It starts with you knowing who you are, building on what's your foundation, because mama probably didn't have it all together. Daddy probably didn't have it all together. Grandma didn't have it all together. So you did not have that role model or that leadership to help you get it together, to process that. So through the program, once they come in, we take an assessment of them and their family because we want to build a rapport to get to know them. We have the I Am, I Can, I Will devotional, and they'll write their story in here, and we show them how to affirm themselves. We teach them how to be advocate readers and also how to grow into reading and what they want to know. So in the process of teaching them how to affirm themselves, I also have a program where I'm partnering with Cora Jakes, it's Bishop T.D. Jakes' daughter. I just came back 3 weeks ago, where we're partnering with the National Prison. That fell in my lap. But I took it with the honor and the grace. So I would like to expose our girls outside of it, to go to different workshops and conferences and go to college tours, because you have girls right now that are teenage moms that are 11 and 12 years old. And through my own personal experience that I've worked with one here, well, she's an adult now, to call her name, but she was pregnant in the 5th grade at Recca. Through my leadership, my mentorship, working with her, that she became a high school graduate. She was the prom queen. She graduated high school. She tried college. It did not work out for her. Actually, we network funded her college tuition through the resources and everything back then. So that young girl, Equasia Williams, is very successful now. She have her own business, and that gave me the ideal model of keys to success, because college is not meant for everyone. But you may have a trade or a tech that's inside of you. So we help you build on that, whether it's hair, whether it's cleaning, whether it's cooking. We give you those fundamentals on how to build and create that lifestyle that you deserve and you desire. So with that, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Please.
Absolutely.
You mentioned a Mr. Cook that you
Yes.
worked with, and who would that be?
That is Brian Cook. That's
Right.
he's a probation officer.
And the judge is
Bart Altman.
Bart Altman?
Yes, sir. He used to coach my kids, and he knew my story. My oldest son, Jonzel Carter, he's 27, and judge was like, "Oh, he's never been in trouble. He's never been." I said, "I may be a mother that came from a troubled childhood, but I didn't believe in sparing a rod, and I was a mother that was there for my kids and being advocate in their life and being present caused a great deal, because their father wasn't there for my first oldest 4, but I then married and created that lifestyle and that wholeness. But I first had to find me within."
Art says they always win championships. Was your son a champion?
I was about to show off for a minute too, and that's why the relationship with him and my son, because my son team was the first team that beat them. Jonzel Carter, and Judge named him coach, and he was like, "You got to come coach me." I said, "I think you trying to waver him in," but they built a great relationship through that, and actually how that relationship built with me going into the juvenile justice system. I was in court one day, had nothing to do with a young man that was there, and his parents wasn't. And I just raised my hand and asked, could I speak on his behalf, and asked, could I work with him? And I introduced my program to the judge, and he said, "Well, you know what, I want to see it." And he just had me to show up at the juvenile justice system that Monday. I was like, and it's been something ever since.
Good for you.
How would you, what's the time and how would you?
Well, what I do
introduce it
is
to
first,
folks in
what I do first is come in with you all, because I need a report on each child and age group. As far as with pearls, you see we have the pearlies, we got the pearl elite, and we have the pearl phenomenal. With the parents, I don't want to overstep, so I build that rapport with the parents first to say, what do you feel your child needs? While their child is writing out through the new mindset, new vision planner, and they're given an assessment sheet, because the parent may feel they need one thing, but you may not even know what's going on, because your child is not going to tell you everything. But you being that parent, I don't want you to feel like my child is going through this program and it's this. So I build that with the relationship with the mother or the father to say, listen, this is the foundation we're building, and I'm here to help you to be that liaison. So while I'm working with the child, I'm building the parent, because I want to help you build your resume writing skills. I want to help you find work or help you become an entrepreneur so that you can have that self-sufficient piece. Because a parent may not want to join right then. When they see their child growing and see it growing through there, and they can grow through it, we work like that. So it would be the after school hours. My program it's a 12-month program, but it's going in quarters, and it's 12 weeks. So we break it down with that. My space hold 30, but due to Corona, we're only doing 18 now, so that it could be, governed with that. And we come in with it's twice a month. One session for the parent, one session for the child.
And where do you hold these at?
Right there on 502 Gloucester Street.
Okay. So this program is only for girls. Do you have a similar program for guys?
Yes, we have Men in Honor, and that's ran by Mr. Kenny Smith. He's up under me as well. Today, with this being birthed as a pilot, we want to start with this because we have a lot going on now. I don't know if the boys are already in it for them, but Mr. Sean Knowles works with them in the basketball area, in the football area. So that is their based on that. Now, once we get into this and we see how it's working with the girls, that arm could be extended to expand to them. Now, of course, if we have a household that a mother have a son and a daughter, you have two, we're not gonna come then and say, oh, well, this is the, no, we will definitely service that boy child at the time, and that's not included, but we service that because we knew parents have male children, and that would be on us, because that's what my son does as well.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Any other
Any
questions, comments,
further
concerns?
questions for Miss
Miss
Dior?
Stella Dior, yes, sir.
Nothing else, Dior.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You have my contact information, you all can look at the website and see if you have any questions, definitely reach out.
Next up, we have a delegation from the Bella Beachy Situation Park, Pastor Zach Lyde.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
This delegation was forced to come under duress.
Well, you got one of the most extensive brochures that has ever been presented to us.
Well, that was your money. I didn't come here for money. I came here to update. And the reason I came to update is because I wanted to make sure that what you saw in us and what you need from us is that you get from us. The Gullah Geechee Situation Park started because of the way veterans have been treated in this country, in particular, black veterans. Black veterans have not received the kind of honor that they deserve after they have given so much to this country, including their lives. So in 1951, as you well know, that ain't gonna stay with you, bro. That's, he said it's expensive. I didn't know y'all had it. I didn't know y'all had this in y'all.
You and I are the ones that were here in 51, so, but go ahead.
Well, in 51, I was 12 years old. I was baptized in a church called St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. And after we ate chicken feet and rice, they sent us over to a little park called McIntyre Court Park. You know where it's at? And in McIntyre Court Park, what was put up to honor black veterans was something about the size of this thing. Not completely half, right there. A gravestone. And that gravestone had exactly what you see on this monument, on that gravestone. The only thing that was missing was down at the bottom here, right here, right? It says how it was put up by the Housing Authority. You put this monument up because in 1985, after living in exile, y'all had run me away from Brunswick for 8 years. I came back and that rock was flat on its face. I was highly upset. So I came to the Housing Authority and I said, I don't understand why this monument, this little flat gravestone, is flat on its face. And you said, that is, the Housing Authority, we don't either. So you put this particular monument up so that that little stone would not be manipulated onto the ground. And here we go. It stayed there without anybody knowing about it until there was an argument politically in this town about a rock that is in Hanover Square. When that argument came up, it was about taking down a Confederate monument that I used to go to meditate. The reason I would go there to meditate is because they said they needed to honor Confederate veterans. Now, I ain't had no argument with that. That's your desire, if that's what you want to do. But I had a great argument with it when the decision was going to be made, or there was an argument over it, taking it down. And the appeasement coming from our community was to take and put by that particular monument something that said that black veterans served. John knows this because he came out to a place for me to show him exactly what we were going to be doing. What I was not going to do is have black veterans dishonored by putting their names on a plaque to keep that Confederate stone up. I could not, in good conscience, do something or not do something in order for the political wind that exists in this community, which is so divided and so ridiculous, that what we have is the most corrupt county and city in this state. So to bring honor to black veterans who had been mistreated, and I'm one of them. When I got back from Vietnam, I was arrested in this town at your place called Lanier Field at the first so-called integration game, football game, they said, in Brunswick. That affected me. It caused a dangerous Negro to become very, very concerned about this community. So I left. And I went to my next duty station, where there I was the honor guard in COIC and the first sergeant of leadership school. And we buried somebody every day for 2 years. I saw the deaths in Vietnam. Here I come back to you because this rock is laying on the ground. And I needed to be able to distinguish what we as black veterans have gone through, including lynchings. If you want to know what happened to black veterans for real, study it, and what you will find. When I got arrested the night I got back, that was a blessing. Because if you study the deal, you will find so many lynchings of black veterans returning home after giving their life to protect democracy. So as a result, I came to you and I said, we need to deal with Gullah Geechee situation part. I was taught. See, I came in here with my shirt down because I wanted to show you I'm not an honorable person. I take a bath every now and then, which I did this morning because I know how you Negroes gossip. So I came to give you an update because everybody was talking about the park, except you. Because y'all told me not to come back there no more for no money. Now that's what y'all told me with that little money y'all gave. Don't bring your, and I didn't. I let you stew. Me and John went and cut down a tree and y'all said we couldn't do that. And John heard me. Because I said, if that tree don't come down, y'all gonna have to take the salt to court. And I told John why the tree had to come down. It was a symbol of three things. The material that came from a tree was what they used to lynch Jesus with. 2, the material or that symbol of that tree represented a lynching of a woman by the name of Dusty Crutchfield and 3 other people with her. And 3, there was a young man that was discharged in 1946, and he was leaving Camp Gordon. Camp Gordon is down Fort Gordon in Augusta. He was in a Greyhound bus. And when they got to the first rest stop, everybody could get off the bus. He went to the bus driver on this Greyhound bus and said, Mr. Bus Driver, because that's the kind of way terror will cause you to have to respond. I just have never had to respond that way. My daddy taught me to be a soldier before I left. And so what happened is I was not going to do that. I would tell him to get the hell out the way because I'm going to pee. But he said no, the bus driver. He begged him. Bus driver finally said yes. But you better be back on this bus when the white folk get on. Because if you ain't, I'm leaving your black aid here. So he got off, went to the restroom, got back on before white folk did. And as that bus traveled a route to his hometown, it stopped in Batesville, South Carolina. And in Batesville, the bus driver called the sheriff. These stories are familiar with really people who want to know the truth. If you don't want to know the truth, don't bring me before you. Don't have me in the street talking with you. Ask Jeff Kilgore. Don't do that. Because I am not interested in critical race theory. I teach critical race truth. I teach you the experience of what our culture and our relationship has gone through all of these 82 years and beyond that with my father, my grandfather, and way back. So they took this young man, the sheriff did, off the bus. Took a baton made from wood, beat him blind, and set him back to his home. A veteran, a black veteran, blinded for hate, blinded so he would be dishonored. So the tree had to come down, didn't it, John? And it did. What we here to tell you today, though, is that we wanted to replace trees for that tree. And the trees we wanted to replace with was Japanese cherry blossom trees for two reasons. One, I don't know whether y'all know it, but if you ever been to DC and saw cherry blossom trees, people come from near and far to see the blossoms on that tree. So we wanted those trees put there for the notion that the people who are in poverty in this particular community could actually see beauty. Beauty in themselves, beauty in the possibilities. That what we could do is if we quit playing games and listening to preachers, and I'm one. I quit preaching. My religion turned to rage because what we have is we have people who you will lie to you and then pretend to you that what happens is that they love you. And so what happened is those trees would represent beauty. But they would also represent something else. They would represent the fact that black veterans served overseas. Now we're going through a lot of trouble with no money. See, y'all mess around and call me back, so we might have to come and ask y'all for cash. Because see, what happens is we have in here the budget for the material. We wasn't going to come back and ask y'all nothing because y'all told me not to come back. But since you got me here, since y'all decided to bring me here, I'm going to go with that and stay away from you as long as I know I can meet by scrapping and begging and crawling. And that ain't freedom's way, you see. My way is to teach freedom. Freedom doesn't beg. Freedom demands. And if it don't get its way, it expands. And if you don't know about it, if it gets its way, it expands. And if it don't, it explodes. So I don't want to explode. I don't want to have to go back and get more medicine than I have to take before I came here today. So if you have any questions, you'll see in this book a lot of trouble we've gone through to make sure that we have progress on our mind for that particular project that you help us start.
Mr. Long,
Yes, ma'am.
what is, I love this outline. I
Hear that?
love this.
Hear that? So I can go home.
Because you know I'm a veteran.
I know you are. And I respect, trust me, I respect female veterans a lot more now than a lot of men veterans. Now, I go with them, but we...
Watch out, I still got Gladys's phone number.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm telling you. I want you to tell Gladys how nice I am.
So,
Go ahead.
and I love these men, these pictures here. But
Right.
what is the projected start date and end date for this project?
Okay, start date and end date. When I get the money.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
But how many people are participating in this project for you to get it done?
Well, right now, in terms of money, the veterans that work with it, with me, and the people who working with me, and the little cash you gave me, the little teeny, weeny, begging cash.
My recollection
But
is
you
it's
got-
what you requested now.
Yeah, well, I requested that because I was scared y'all wasn't gonna go money on
And
that.
and I don't remember getting an itemized invoice of what that money you was used for,
Oh,
but
yeah.
anyway.
Well,
how
we
many
wasn't
people-
supposed to give you no itemized list. See, right, I understand the notion of how you control the outcome by doing absolutely nothing. I know that. So what happened with me, I don't give no itemized list. If you want an itemized list, don't give me no little money. Then have me get an accountant so we can sit down and work the deal out about what you asking me right now. Do that.
Mr. Nye,
But let me go with the figurines.
yeah.
Cause that's how you really got here. Got me to come back. I went to a man by the name of Kevin Pullen. Mr. Pullen is a sculptor and an artist. Mr. Pullen went to an HBCU called Hampton. And my daughters and a lot of family members went to that same school. So I said, Mr. Pullen, how you do me a favor? Would you deal and put us some not figurines, but sculptures of soldiers from the Korean War, from the Civil War to the Vietnam conflict, so we could put on that pedestal. And on those pedestals, there are 7 names that's gonna be put on there of veterans that was killed in the Vietnam War, that were black, that's gonna be on those pedestals. So he's working with us for that. And what we did was we didn't go to Mr. Alan Booker. Mr. Booker was approached by Kevin Pullen about the funding for the figurines. You see, what happens if you work together, then what you can do is you can give hope, you can give direction, and you can not play the game about. So, Mr. Pullen went to Alan Booker. Alan Booker made a decision he was going to fund the sculptures. And so then Mr. Booker went to Clean and Beauty, who that is, what that is, brother, Clean and Beautiful?
I don't know.
Okay. She knows.
Yeah.
And the reason she knows is because that's how we got back to you. She said, hey, do you know anything about this here? And the executive director said, what? And so they said, bring him in. So he could be interrogated. So I'm here.
So,
Material money, we ain't got none.
right, so my question again is, how many people, because you said the little bit of money we gave you the first time
Yeah.
didn't equal to us getting an itemization list of what you're gonna do with it.
Right.
But since this is 42,000, we get an itemized list. How many people are gonna pitch in? How many organizations, nonprofit, public donations are going to, like you said, work together collectively to come up with this, for this project to be done?
Now that that question is asked, see, the only thing you got here is the money for material. You don't have the money for labor. So being a victim of being black and a veteran and standing up to the enemy, which I see every morning when I get up and I run to my pill box to make sure I'm funny so that I don't destroy things in my wake. And I make as many contacts with as many people as I can, because that's what I've been doing to get involved in this particular project. And I was so glad, that's why y'all should have kept them other folk who came here with love in here today. when I saw Miss Sabrina Nixon from the AKA in that group, I said, oh Lord, they're gonna hear my story. That's how we get people to work with us. Through the importance of this particular project, not only for me, but for everyone in this room, in this entire country.
Any further questions for Mr. Zach Lai concerning his the situational park?
Thank you.
Thank you for the update.
Now that y'all done brought me in here, get ready for the money question.
Next is the added delegation. I'm just gonna say Goodwill. I think that's it. I'm just gonna say Goodwill.
Ms. Jackson.
Ms. Jackson, Goodwill.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Tikla is handing out some flyers that's going to provide some information that we will hope that you will be able to get to the residents. My name is Veronica Starren, and I am the Vice President of Mission Services with Goodwill of Southeast Georgia. I manage our opportunity centers, and we happen to have an opportunity center here located in Brunswick. And what the Opportunity Center is all about is providing assistance to individuals who are interested in employment opportunities, who are interested in services to go back to school. We operate under 3 pillars: support, education, and employment. When individuals come to us, they have a need. It could be a need for transportation support. It could be a need for child care support. It could be a need for scholarship money to go back to school. And that's what the Opportunity Center is here to provide. We're not here to ask for money. We are actually here to ask you to allow us to come into your community and speak to the residents here in the community. I am a firm believer in we need to go to where the people are. Our Opportunity Center is located here in Brunswick, but it's not necessarily on the bus line. So we have individuals who may have difficulties getting to us to receive the services in which they are in need of. So we want to be able to come out and speak to your residents, to be able to provide the services. In your hand, you have our Career Campus. And the Career Campus is a service of training that we offer individuals, from financial literacy to Microsoft Office certifications, CNA certifications, hospitality certifications as well. We also, you have another flyer there that's titled, Build a Brighter Future. And on there is a QR code that individuals can go ahead and scan and be able to register for our services. Our services are completely free, okay? So all we're asking is for individuals to be able to take the chance and invest in themselves. We are very firm believers in meeting people where they are. Okay, so we have individuals who come to us and say, you know what, I'm not really interested in the training right now, I just need an employment opportunity. So Goodwill is not only an employer, but we are also providing services out in the community for individuals to get employment. Tikla Jackson, she is the career service specialist there. She is the person that the residents will be working with to be able to receive the services that we have. So again, we offer scholarship supports, we offer transportation support, child care support, even down to if individuals are in need of hygiene items, okay? Because we are very clear that individuals, at times, they are just in a need. And sometimes when they come to us, they don't truly know what their need is. They just come in and they're like, I need a job. Bills are due next month and I need a job. But having that relationship with Tikla Tikla asking certain questions, she can get into she can develop that trust relationship with individuals that they can go ahead and they can open up and they can truly say, this is what I need. So what we're asking for is just to allow us to come in, talk to your residents, okay? Tikla and I have another staff person at the Opportunity Center. We can come out. It could start off once a month, and you know, we really want to be consistent. So whatever day we say we're going to be here, that's the day we're going to say that we're going to be here. And then if we see that the need is really a greater need and we need to come out maybe on a weekly basis, we're definitely open to that opportunity as well. But we just want to be able to assist the individuals who are here in housing to be able to get on their feet and be able to move onto another opportunity. So this way, individuals, I don't know if you have a waiting list of individuals who want to come in, but if you have tenants who are able to move out, then you have room for individuals to be able to come in and receive the same type of services. So that's what our ask is.
I'm sorry, what is your name again?
Veronica Styron.
Thank you. First of all, if I could without a vote, listen here, I love it. First of all, you're not asking for no funding. Okay? Now, how soon in advance would you need to have before you come out?
So I'm actually in the process of starting our 2022 planning year. So we can come out as early as we can start this actually in January. You just let us know and we will coordinate with our calendar. And I'm in the process of, I plan our calendar quarterly. So we can go ahead and we can put something on the calendar, at least starting out once a month. And then if the need is great, then we can go ahead and we can come out.
And would you be able to come back quarterly and give us an update of who went through, who completed, and who got certified out, and who got employment? We would like to highlight those people, because if you do that, I think that the other residents will follow suit. And then I think that's a great opportunity.
And that's what we're here to do, is to be able to provide that very information, because not only do I have to provide that to my grant funders, but again, I think when people see people who are successful, they want to mirror that behavior.
Yes.
So yes, we can definitely
What's your
do that.
minimum age?
So 16.
16?
16 and up.
Good.
But now most 16-year-olds, they are currently in high school, so of course we will want to work with the parents, because if we're going to offer any type of employment assistance, I want to make sure mom and dad are okay with that. But ideal, we want to work with individuals who are 18, but we do offer services to individuals who are 16. And again, I say that Goodwill, we're also an employer. We work with our associates, so let's say one of your tenants gets hired on at Goodwill. Goodwill, we want to be that employer of choice. So we offer our associates the opportunity to go to school as well. You don't have to stay with Goodwill. I'm a firm believer in this is where you start, okay? And if we can help you go ahead and get your education, get a certification or something like that, and you want to go out and you want to do whatever it is that you want to do, that's what Goodwill is here for. So we have our positions in our retail stores. I'm not sure if you guys know, but we also have government contracts for individuals with disabilities. There are set-aside government contracts. We have the contract over at Flexi Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, where we clean the property there, and the wages are, it's been a minute since I've been in government contracts, but I want to say the wages are at least 12 and change. And Monday through Friday, there are some day shift, there's some evening shift. So not only do we have our retail side, we also have our government contract side, where individuals can go ahead and seek employment as well. But again, if people are interested in getting a certification that work for us, we can go ahead and help them as well.
Ms. Johnson, this is the number we can get in contact with you?
Yes, I'll make sure I have my card also, so you can reach me directly.
So I am out of the Savannah office, but I have centers here in Brunswick, Waycross, Statesboro, and Savannah, and I spend a lot of my time on the road, so I can come back anytime you need.
Yeah. So as you always ask, does Ms. Strickland have your information? And Ms. Strickland,
Mr. President, I'll make sure that you have our information.
I believe that, at this point, because they're just asking for permission
Let's
to
vote.
coordinate with staff on when they can
Yeah,
come
and
to the
I
property.
mean, it doesn't even need board action, we
Yeah.
can just set her up with Linda and,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we need to vote, go ahead.
There's no problem.
Yes.
All right, so
Good
we'll go
job.
ahead and we'll coordinate our calendars and let's get the word out.
Mhm.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on into old business, we have approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on November 10, 2021. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes? I'll entertain a motion to accept and adopt the minutes.
I entertain a motion that we accept and adopt the minutes from December 8th, 2021.
I'll second the invitation.
Second the entertainment. We have a motion from Pamela Bailey, Madam Vice Chair Pamela Bailey, to accept and adopt the minutes. Seconded by Commissioner Kilgore. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Nays have the same. Motion passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes of the special call meeting held on November 8, 2021.
I move that we approve the minutes as drafted. Period.
I'll entertain a second.
A second motion.
Got a motion to approve the minutes as drafted by Commissioner Kilgore, seconded by Madam Vice Chair Bailey for the special call meeting. All those in favor say aye, or excuse me, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed have the same. Motion passes. Move on to approval of the November 2021 financial reports. Do we have any questions for Ms. Dyer, or Ms. Dyer, do you have anything that you would like to?
No, nothing about November specifically, but, I'm anticipating the draft of the audit report in the next month or so for fiscal year 21. So that should be coming soon.
I move that we approve the financial report as submitted by staff.
Entertain a second.
Second.
Got a motion to approve the financial report by Commissioner Kilgore, seconded by Commissioner Dickerson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move on to executive director's items, new business.
Okay, the first item is approved utility allowance update for the Section 8 program. This is the review we have to do every year on the utility allowance that's used in the rent calculation. And if there's an increase greater than 10%, we have to implement the new utility allowances. So the increase was greater than 10%, so we are requesting board approval. And this is done by a third-party vendor each year. So we're requesting approval to update the Section 8 utility allowances.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the utility allowance update for the Section 8 program.
So does that mean that, the utility check that the people get that's in Section 8 will increase, or how does this work?
It's used in the rent calculation. You figure their income, and then as one of the deductions, you give them a utility allowance. So depending on the income, the person may receive a check and then they may not receive a
Right.
check.
Right, okay. So what's going up, the utility allowance amount that's included in that budget that can, so if they get 50 now, they might get 75 or 55 or whatever?
Yes, at their annual
Yes,
review, yes.
okay.
Anyone actually make a motion yet on that one? Okay. I will still entertain a motion.
I
to
move that we
approve.
approve the revised utility allowances as presented by staff.
I second the motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kilgore to approve the revised utility allowance, seconded by Madam Vice Chair Bailey. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same. Motion passes unanimously.
The next item is write-off tenants accounts receivable classified as uncollectible for November.
The question I have for this is, why is that uncollectible? Why we're not able to get it?
These are people that have moved out, and this is what they have, what they owe us after they moved out. It might be back rent, it might be damages, and so we have to write them off before the board has to write them off, and then we submit them to a collection agency. And
You
then
answered my
it's,
next question, okay.
and then it's recorded on the HUD website too. So until the debt is paid, the person cannot participate in any HUD programs anywhere.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we get our money.
Yeah, we agree.
And when did we, when does the $5 per day be eliminated? Didn't we vote to eliminate that? When
Yeah.
did that start?
Yeah, it'll be January, cause you have to, once the ACOP is approved, you have to post it for 30 days, so we'll do that in January.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the write-off of tenant accounts receivables. Anyone?
I'll make the motion, we approve. It's, pre-generation write-off.
Got a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Dickerson to approve the write-off of tenants accounts receivable, second by Commissioner Kilgore. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, under discussion items, I do have one question from one of the delegations. Because I did receive a call from Leah with the Keep Golden Isles Beautiful. Because they were being solicited for donations for the plants and the trees and stuff. So they don't have money, so they have to solicit donations. And so I'm scheduled to call her back tomorrow to let her know, because she's like, she doesn't wanna contact her donors, and if this isn't gonna happen, or, so, what do you guys want me to tell her?
I think we need to, as a board, consider setting out a standard of a package of information that would come from aspiring presenters, that would include their management, their board, their financial information, the documentation on the 501c3, the most recent 990, so that we have an understanding of, you know, I have great respect for the people who came in today. This is not a reflection of anybody today, but so that we have an understanding of who the organization is and what their goals, objectives are, and what their history and record of success is. And so, having said that, I think that, speaking as just an individual board member, we probably need to take some time and reflect on some of the questions that Mrs. Bailey asked of Reverend Ladd as to what was presented to us originally as a plan that was to be implemented and which was funded. Before we provide an answer to anyone, I think we need some time together to assess, and again, with all due respect to Reverend Ladd, who I love and great friends with, and have been for many years. I hope I am after today. There were questions that were asked, and they weren't answered. Ms. Bailey had specific questions. So, that'd be, my recommendation is that we not decide anything today and that we don't say no, but we take it under deliberation and further consideration.
And then you, to your statement, while the delegates were speaking, we have so many people coming in presenting to us. I think we do need a workshop, and what we need to do is see how many programs that we have all together now, because we have several since I've been on this board, and we need to go through each one and see which one will be more significant for what we're looking for our residents here. And then to further that out, if we could get somebody from staff quarterly to check on these programs to see if they're functioning right. You know what I'm saying? Because they can give us everything that you asked for, like the management, the board, the 501c3, the 990 tax update. Because one of my concerns is we have gotten a lot of people that want to do after-school activities. And I got a great-grandson that gets out of school 2:45 in pre-K, okay? And so some of these time frames are not matching with the time these kids get out of school. You understand what I'm saying? And for them to be in pre-K to, not mentioning no names, I'm just talking, pre-K to 6 o'clock, sometimes these kids ought to be home getting ready for bed, resting, eating, and everything like that. So I'm just saying that before we make a vote of which programs we're gonna oversee or in partnership with, we need to have a workshop or have a meeting day to go through these programs and let them know. I think a packet is needed for the time frame and everything, and just so we can be organized and don't have all these programs coming in and voting on it and they're just out there floating. We need to be accountable of what they're doing with the funding money and who's getting through and who's being successful. And you know my spiel is on marketing and advertising. If we're gonna have these programs here, we must advertise them and we must show the people that are going through these programs. Because like Ms. Veronica said, you see one person achieving something, that's gonna influence somebody else. So the website, marketing, seeing pictures, a lot of people are visual people. They don't want to read a whole lot of paperwork, this, that. They are visual. That's why they said in school, when I went to school, put things in red and bold. People are more to attract that than something in blue, yellow, or anything, because that red blings out. And that's just my ideal. If we're going to function and have these partnerships, we want to know that these residents are making it, succeeding, and it's continuing to grow.
In following with Ms. Bailey's suggestion, I think a workshop, whatever you want to call it, a special session would be appropriate for the number of applications that we have pending currently, and to classify after-school educational assistance, financial assistance, and we evaluate everybody that's in this column, and one of those wins and gets an award, and that's who we fund. And we've got a lot of redundancy that's coming in now with people saying the same thing. And so I think it's at a point where it behooves us to get that organized.
Yes.
Going back to the park and talking about the little bit of money that we gave earlier, we haven't seen an accounting of what that was spent for.
That's what I said.
We don't know. I mean, I remember the list. I mean, there was a list. I don't even remember exactly the amount. It was $15,000 or $20,000.
Yeah.
But what was it actually? Because a lot of the stuff on that list was training and paying the kids with the pledge, and that. So what was the money?
My next question, if you don't mind, my next question was going to be, didn't we approve that? Wasn't that because of that training, that was gonna be an annual thing for Mr. Lyde?
The program that was presented, we voted on and approved and funded.
Right. And that was to build this park, and then that was the annual going through for the children and the flag raising and such and so forth.
But we still don't have a flagpole.
Right, and as he
And that was
alluded,
supposed to be included in that initial 22.
Yeah.
and what he alluded to was because of the little bit amount that we didn't deserve an itemized list of what he was spending on. But that's not what I think, you know what I'm saying? So before we decide on what we're gonna do this, he gotta give us what he did, because it was before 2 veterans, holidays. And he said he was gonna have these guys out here with t-shirts, teach them the NJROTC, you know, have NJ. And remember I asked where were you gonna do this at? Cause he did say with that 15,000 or 22,000, he had to pay office overhead. And I said, why you need an office? Cause you're gonna train them out there. And remember, he said he was gonna do it. I haven't seen anything. We don't have Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and I haven't seen nothing. So my heart is this: if we're gonna fund them, we need to see something, you know. And like he said, we asked for him to come back with this update. That's fine, but I ain't got past the first one, you know.
I personally, I mean, cause I like the drawing, and John is gonna shoot me for this, but.
I mean, the layout is beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but I think if we're gonna do it, I mean, we can work with him and work with his groups and everything, but I think staff should be in charge.
Well, this comes back to what
Getting it
Ms.
done.
Bailey was asking about, who's your organization? Who's going to be implementing these tasks? And how is this structure and all this deciduous, foliage and everything going to be made a reality? And so far, the record ain't that strong.
Yes.
So,
And that's why Leah was calling me, she's like, I don't wanna bother my donors if this is not something the housing authority's supporting or that they know about or whatever. So I don't wanna discourage anybody that wants to participate and help, but I don't want them to waste their time.
I think the message to her is a very simple, it's currently under consideration, and she has to make her own decision. And you just tell her, that it's under consideration, and I don't think that we, as a board, should go any further than that statement.
Because if he would have said, when I asked him how many other nonprofits or organizations, now if he would have told me some names, we're not gonna give 42,000. We can give a portion, like if he said, he didn't have the labor, if he gave us a number for labor, we might have paid for the labor. You know how some people do, say, pay for the trees, or they pay for the porch, we could do that, but we got whole fund 42,000.
Well, I can
And
say,
then he, excuse me, and then he did not set a precedence or an estimate of when he would like this to start, and when he's looking at a completion date.
I can say for the record that, I have challenged, both Reverend Light and James Brooks, who accompanied Reverend Light on the initial presentation. Bishop Brooks, has bought the flagpoles and bought the benches because, I made it clear that it wasn't gonna go without questions. And so, Bishop Brooks has, done some things to comply with what was presented to us, but it ain't in the ground. And so, it's not as though there's nothing been done, but I'm not about to sit here and tell you that I know what has been done, except for a little bit of purchase of equipment.
I got a flag, but I don't have a pole. This veteran organization sent me a flag and a pole to hang on the side of my house. I'm not hanging it, but I can donate the flag.
Well, they've got the flags. But anyway, so, in conclusion, I would recommend that we, take the time, because we, doesn't make sense for us to take an hour or two every month, hearing presentation. We ought to be able to screen the presentations beforehand And if it's an after-school program that, and we're already committed in funding one, and it's our intent to make that one successful, then that's where our focus should be, in my opinion. And instead of having, just 2 or 3 and every time, it's all well intended, it's all, outstanding, from an objective standpoint. But we can't fund the work.
It's as if you read from the pattern. I made the same note.
Mm-hmm,
Okay. I agree.
mm-hmm. All right.
And I wish that we could get to where we tell everybody it's one time a year, or they can come, if you do a workshop, come do a presentation that one time a year before budget time, so we know what we're gonna commit to for the year. We can give Sharon the number, and then if anybody else comes after that, just tell them, well, we do this in January of each year.
Annually, we should
Yeah.
submit,
Yeah, we
send
should
out
have
an
a
RFP
deadline.
at the same time every year, and have everybody respond to the RFP in each
Mhm.
category, make the selection, fund it, and then we're done.
That makes sense, then we won't have
Yes.
random every
Yes.
month, yes, yes, yes. Okay.
But only if Sharon agrees.
Well, anything does make it easier.
That's your job. Okay.
Okay, and the next item, we did get an email with the invitation to apply for 5 HUD Bash vouchers. So, we responded and sent that in,
Right?
yes,
Fantastic.
so,
Ooh,
yeah. and
Jesus.
we met, Jamie and I met with Honey from the Well yesterday, and she has contact with the place in Dublin, so she's gonna go ahead and reach out to her and see if we can gather up the 5 people so that when we get the final word, we have them ready to go, so. And that's all I have.
One last item, I guess, report from committees. Are there any other reports from committees other than this commissioner items, which is for badges for commissioners?
Which committee did that come out? That's a rhetorical question.
Okay, so I believe, Madam Vice Chair Bailey, you have a little bit of comment about the badges for commissioners
Yeah.
or something like that?
Several months ago, I submitted the name of the company, prices, and the address to get these badges. And the discussion was, why we need badges, you know, this, that, and the other thing. But I think to move further along, for us to be one of the #1 public housing here in the city of Brunswick, we gotta be recognizable. People don't need to be asking, you know, when you have those badges, they can see your picture, they can see your name, you know what I'm saying? And that's all it is, it's just a marketing tool to say where we come from, who we represent, you know what I'm saying? Cause even if we're not here and after the meeting, we still representing Brunswick Housing Authority, because we meet tenants all the time if they find out we on the board, and they have something to say to us. And that's it. So I think, do we need to vote on it?
I would like to make a consideration. Although I did hear Commissioner Kilgore's thoughts in the last meeting, me being a businessman, branding yourself is very important. And I even look at the city commissioners, the county commissioners, they have some type of badge. And not just, now, your thought last meeting was when we had these meetings, and of course we would have badges already, but when we have in community events, we in the community, I think it would be good. I see the mayor, he has his badge, other commissioners, they wear their badges. It's just a consideration. I think it's good because marketing, I do agree with Commissioner Bailey on that point. Branding is very important in business. And I think it can even open up opportunities for us. I know it's an expense, but I think it will open up opportunities. That's just my consideration. But I did hear what you said in the last meeting, but that's my consideration.
Ms. Strickland, do you still have, Ms. Bailey said she submitted, I don't recall the information she submitted at that point, but do you still have that information and are you aware of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all, okay.
new kid on the block. So I don't want to be in between no fights now.
What's your pleasure, board? What's your pleasure on this badges? What do you want to do?
Well, I would like to make a motion that we have the badges.
I second that motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Dickerson for badges, seconded by Madam Vice Chair Bailey. Any further discussion?
Can I add one thing? Is it feasible for us to get some kind of electronic board or some kind of board in the foyer or outside so residents can see what we're doing? Or like the advertisement for the programs and everything when we choose them? I mean, cause I like I said, I think, like you mentioned, Brandon, we want them to know that we're here, you know, and what we're doing.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by outside board?
Like a poster.
I was gonna ask if you could maybe draft that within an email for us,
Okay.
so that we could take a look at it from there, and that way we could have a further discussion and potentially put it on the agenda for
Okay.
next time.
Okay. That's all I have.
So, do we have any further discussion again about the badges?
Yeah, I will reiterate what I said before. I don't, with all due respect to Ms. Bailey's comments and Reverend Dickerson, I don't understand the marketing concept. What we do is oversight and not marketing per se. And when people that are residents approach us, in my opinion, what our guidance says is that we are to refer them to the staff. We're not the professionals. We don't know. We do have knowledge, obviously, because of the programs that we vote on and approve. But we don't know all of the services and all of the regulations that are involved that the staff can advise the residents, the tenants of. In my opinion, our engagement with the residents should be minimal at best. If they have a problem, certainly to refer that and ensure that it's handled appropriately, and to direct them into the chain of command, just as you would have in the military, so that it's handled in an appropriate manner. And for that reason, I don't see the need for badges. However, I can count, and I've got an idea of how the vote's gonna turn out. And so with that said, that's just my opinion.
And before we close, one more thing. Commissioner Kilgore, with all due respect, I don't know if you've seen a video called Lead Your Way, but I do not understand the separation between board members and residents. It's not like we're going to tell them what to go and tell the staff and management. What we can do is tell them what they can achieve through being a resident here. And we can tell them about the programs that we voted on and passed for them to do. And we do have residents, we got an email now. We do have residents that come to us because they have certain maintenance problems. So we cannot separate ourselves from the residents to the boards. Now, there's a limitation of what we can say to them, but don't separate us, because it's already a lack of communications between management and residents, and board and residents.
Let's keep this discussion to the badges specifically.
Okay.
Okay, because I was gonna add a comment.
And my response is, I said exactly that certainly there are times that residents are going to communicate to a board member, but it's not our position, and we're not trained to field maintenance requests or anything on that order. And those types of issues should be referred into the system to the site manager and to the people who can deal with that maintenance problem, in my opinion. And so that's the reason why I said what I said. I'm not trying to restrict you or anybody from doing whatever you want to do. I'm just saying that, my understanding of the, way it should work is the people who are trained and have the technical knowledge should be handling the problems.
One final from Ms. Strickland, and then we'll place this vote.
Thank you. Because lots of times when you get the calls, they're only telling you one side of the story. They're not telling you what we're dealing with and how the site managers they're not telling you the whole story. So we know the whole story. So if you get a reference or a call or an email or something from a resident, just call me and let me know. We'll follow up, make sure whatever is done needs to be done, and then we'll let you know. But it gets kind of confusing when they think, and it undermines the staff because the resident thinks, well, I'll just call the board and then the staff's gonna get in trouble, and then it just causes tension.
Okay, so any further discussion specifically about the badges?
No.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed have the same.
No.
Motion passes 3-1. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So,
Oh my God, you look like you're gonna stab me, kill me.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Okay. As you know, with Power Incorporated, I presented last time, I do not know the procedure because this is the first experience with the Housing Authority on the process. Our target date was for the summer, and I just don't know where we are in the process, and that's why I came down.
We are currently considering all of the various delegations at this point. And once we have made our decisions, of course, Ms. Strickland will be in contact with you for any follow-up that we need from that point.
Okay.
And we really appreciate and thank you for coming out today. All right, so I got a motion to adjourn. Do I get a second?
Second.
Motion by Kilgore, seconded by Dickerson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Is there anything for me to sign today?
Yes.
Can I come by and see you Friday after, take my picture at 10, or are you busy?
Oh, what time? When?
I come in at 10 o'clock and take my picture. on
Which
Friday.
day? On
This
Friday? Yeah.
Just
That's
bring my
fine.
angle
Oh,
on.
sure, yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't know which day you were talking about, but
Okay.
yeah, sure, I'll be here.
Okay.
Just tell somebody, you need to come to my office and I'll be there, or I'll meet you wherever you are when you get your picture made.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you.
The guys took pictures of the meter, it's not running, so she's having an issue. They're telling me that she's having an issue with the bill, because the water bill, like, she doesn't pay it, and it tacks on. So, I don't know, I've gotta,
Yeah, John,
Are you talking about 9 McIntyre?
yeah, she knows more about
I
it.
sat down in her living room and talked with her extensively to figure everything out. This is the problem. It's not so much us and it's not her. It's Joint Water and Sewer Commission. They allow you to submit a form anytime there's a leak like that, you don't know that they're there, they happen until they happen. So they give you, there's a form that they have, it's a leak adjustment request form that's been completed, that's been filled out. Joint Water and Sewer takes 90 days to process that form. So I sat on hold, I waited, they called me back. They said all she has to do is come up and speak to management, ask to, cut off the water while they're processing this leak adjustment request form. So I got in contact with her, I told her about that, it's an email I sent it to her, I tried calling, left her a message for that, I've been reaching out to her almost every day, and I've not heard back from her again.
Now, the two things, but did y'all find out where the leak is coming from?
The leak has been repaired.
Yeah, but where
Yes,
is the leak coming from?
underneath the AC cage. There's a pad for our AC cages, so what we ended up doing is, we went from the city meter, to the house with a whole new line. So we eliminated the line going underneath, because what they had tried first was,
Absolutely.
the line. So I just said, instead of looking underneath the AC cage, because that's where the line runs,
Or you can get a
I
fresh
said,
cup,
go from the
it's up to
meter
you.
to the house, and that's when it stopped.
And the other issue is this, the water will turn you off after a non-payment, but while you're paying your bill, they always want your bill under $100. So if it's $400,
Yeah.
she got to come up with $300.
Well, and that's what they said,
would
if
be
she
under
just comes
100.
in and requests it, since she's got the form already submitted to them from us
Had any
saying,
questions
look,
about
it was a leak
anything yet, or-
detected, it was
Still
repaired,
reading.
this is what it was
Learning.
reported, this
Okay.
is what's been
I'm
done.
fairly
It's a pretty,
learning
you've got to
as
pretty
I
much,
go.
and the
Yeah,
maintenance
and
guys
it all
actually
comes
fill out
in
and say,
warranty,
this is
not
what
good
we found
It
out,
was
this
where
is
it
what
was.
we've done, all of that.
So you're over maintenance. Has anybody going out and did a follow up? Because in the
Yeah.
email,
Yes,
because in
they
the
have.
email, it said they were waiting
That's-
for her to say something.
Listen,
So-
that's the first thing that we did was when we had gotten, knowledge of it, where she said
Medicine,
it
I
wasn't
have to go to
fixed.
the
I'm like,
restroom
wait,
every hour.
what do you mean?
Oh, my gosh.
Because they were working out there, it was like, 2 people digging the hole, digging the new trench. So we had, I think it was Heath,
Actually recorded showing that the
recorder
meter
showing
was
that the
not-
meter was stopped. So that means when all of the water, well, all of the water's turned off in the inside of the house, that meter, that little spinny thing doesn't move.
Yeah.
And that's what we recorded.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
did all of that.
So one of the other crazy things that we figured out was, so say you use 20,000 gallons of water. One of the big questions was, well, how do they determine the sewer, and why is the water rate so different than the sewer? Joint Commission charges
For
a
water
whole
coming
lot
back in,
more
coming back
for water
in.
than they do sewer.
Right, they charge more for water going back in than going
Because
out.
they cleaned it.
No,